Okay, so let's talk about what we've got here. So I've sectioned off basically the first round of the head shape. So if you look at the head shape on that profile, you'll notice that the head climbs from the front hairline up the head. That's kind of like the crown, right? It's a similar sort of area. Okay, so what's happening is it's going to come up to a point, a peak. So we know that as the apex. So what I've done is I've basically sectioned away the front from the back. So this first round of the head, it's almost like the nape down here, but this is the nape of the front. So we've got the occipital ridge, right? And then what I've done is I've sectioned all the way down to right behind the ear. So I'm following that natural ridge of the head shape through there. And then what I've done, I've isolated this fringe area. So I've taken a triangular section from the apex down to just around where the hairline starts to get vertical. And same thing on the other side. And it's just a little bit further forward than that so that I don't push this too wide, right? And again, if I don't want to push this too wide, I'll narrow this triangular area down and it will leave me more weight in that area. And this is good for when we're dealing with, you know, kind of recession areas and stuff like that. But always remember, when you work round, you're taking this lighter and you're leaving that heavier in the back.
It's reconnecting. Okay, we're back.
All right, we're back. Okay.
We're back.
All right, so I was just explaining that the triangular area, we can change that based on the angle here, and we can change how dense and how much we push this back. All round shapes are lighter in the front, heavier towards the back due to the shape of the haircut. It doesn't actually follow the head shape all the way around. When we do that, there isn't a descension of weight. What it does is it actually is level with what the ground is. So that's my sectioning, and then what's happened here, I've got this little area here because I'm going to work that second and then I'll work this third. So that's my sectioning. So now we have to talk about why and all the different options that I'm going to have in this. So really what I'm looking at first is how heavy do I want this to fall through the front. So it's kind of like when you work with face frame. We can work with a lower elevation. It makes that frame heavier, more beveled, more on that kind of graduation elevation through this area and cut more flat, right? So then that makes that hair still fall a little bit on the heavier side, but it's got some movement and some flick. That's basically what I'm thinking about when I'm layering. I'm going to create more flick. When I have graduation, I'm going to create more bevel in a sense, because of the weight coming down from the top. And then my third option is to use a higher elevation. So I'm going to opt for that kind of middle area. The idea of this haircut is that it can be smooth and it can be texture. So we can work with a natural wave in the head, or we can decide to smooth it if we want to. If I go full elevation up here, then I'm going to layer obviously a lot more, then I'm going to encourage more flick. So I'm going to go a little bit heavier through the front and then go into more layering through the back. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a good connection now?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we're doing round concave layering.
Yes, so today, again, like we did last week, I did variations of working face framing and stuff like that, and working with different elevations. Today I'm going to work on same kind of technique, but with a different pattern of how to achieve it. So it's a really good kind of way to create shag kind of variants. We could even work even longer if we wanted to, and just like your standard longer face frame with some heavier layers throughout. Obviously, what changes is the length. Obviously, as we work through, it just gets stronger as you get shorter. So less movement, especially in the shorter areas, and more head hugging and stuff like that. So the idea here is to understand all the elements and the control to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. instead of it having to be styled afterwards, utilize the cut to encourage the style. So taking that section, depending on who you are, where you're from, actually where you're stood, this could be vertical or horizontal, right? In my world, I'm looking at it this way, that is a horizontal section. These sections are across, right? Vertical would be up and down. Now, if I was working on graduation, and I was working definitely on something falling here, and I was going to be working with elevation, then definitely I would think that pulling this down is going to make that much heavier and form a graduation when it lives on the face. If something's going to be more over to the side, then I feel that is working more on the horizontal dimension. So that's kind of the intricacies of this area. So it is vertical in this sense because I'm going to be using it to create a flatter dimension through here. So I'm going to start a little bit longer than I think I want it to be, just to see how the hair reacts. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing hair, I still want to do that. I don't want to get too confident. All right, obviously that's way too heavy for what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it to be more in this region. So the hair reacts quite nicely. Today's mannequin is from Hair Art. This is Mia, or the Mia model. And I like to use this one from Hair Art, and I also like to use the one we used last week, Sue. All right, so I kind of might bring that up a little bit more. And I've chose to cut flat, all right? By cutting flat, that obviously will allow the hair to have a little bit of a layer on that edge, all right? But it means that this hair is technically longer than the hair on the underneath, all right? So that's what's falling and making it heavier. Now, if I would have cut more of an angle like so, then that would fall into that kind of graduation world, right? And would make it really heavy. But I would probably want to cut that more horizontally if I really want this to be super heavy graduation. So now that I've got that in there, I'll just put the other one on the other side. So I'll kind of flip-flop to begin with and get my central area in there. Always combing the side of the section I'm about to cut. So if I do anything that's not right, I'm not going to move that guide. I'm going to move the hair that's about to be cut. So I won't make the guide shorter. So you can see now how the curtain will start to happen if I want it to.
Right on top of that cheekbone.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going with for landing.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm thinking of is, what's it going to look like with texture, and what's it going to look like with, smoothed out. So, good area to be in. So, I've only got these two extra pieces here, and all I'm going to do is bring them into that center. So, I'll move the other side out of the way, and I'm just going to push this into the middle. So, what that's going to do is that's going to make it get heavier this way, because I'm pulling away from it. In this case, I'm pushing away. And I'm going to bring that into the same position that first section was cut, and cut nice and flat. So that flattens that through, so it's like a flat layer. So yes, I have a slight amount of bevel, but you can see there's a softness on the edge. If I don't want that softness, obviously once I've finished I could get rid of that. And I could have done this to begin with. So heavy, lighter, even lighter. So more bevel, slight bevel with a little flick, proper flick. All right, that's kind of like how you want to see it. So just like last week's class, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But not over here. We're now working in the fringe. It's the same thing. It's called elevation, right? Up and down. So that's what makes that vertical, because it is elevation. You're lifting that hair up and down. And it's living on the face. Now, if I was going to bring this over towards the side, right, then we're dealing with shape, not so much this. So that in there, now I can do the same thing on the other side. I stay in the same position if you've noticed. I don't move over and start doing different hand positions and kind of making it a bit awkward for myself. Right? I know where I'm going to bring it to. So if I use the mirror, then obviously I'm going to keep it where the mirror is right here, and I can see my over direction into that center. If I don't have the mirror, I can look down over the top of that and I can see where that's going into. Same thing, right? Nice and even. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now I've kind of got that through there. That's my landing area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and bring it into somewhere into the outline. I'm not really going to keep this exact length. I know it's going to get shorter. But in the back, I know that will then drop off because of my hairline getting longer. So now I'll just turn it this way. How's the light?
It's great.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So now just working into, I could do this in one, but I feel I'll just work it in sections and not be too greedy. So a little bit of moisture. So I've already put the Day of Grace product in there, which is a really good working product. So now I'm just adding a little bit of water instead of more and more product. It'll just reactivate what's already in there. The Day of Grace is like a really good, let's see, primer.
Primer, yeah.
The primer is what we use. But I like it for the detangling aspect of it as well. So like to comb out the hair and stuff. And it's great to work with. It's also, got, what we call it, sun protection.
And I think it just keeps a even moisture throughout the whole hair. Evens out that porosity for you.
So there's my guide from my fringe. So now I'm just going to work from that out to a longer length in my exterior. So there's several different ways you could do this, right? Use the scissors like a razor if you wanted to. You know what I mean? So I can work it where I move the fingers, or I can work it where I use the scissor as kind of like you would a feather razor.
We have a question. Is this after you've established your length?
No, this is me putting that in there. So I'm working to kind of collarbone area. That's my kind of landing spot. I could have put this in to begin with and worked to that spot too. I could have worked from that. But what I'm doing is I'm kind of just scooping and working outwards. That's how I'm choosing to do it now. There's so many different ways you could do this, right? The goal is to work from short to long.
So cutting into the length in this front section, knowing where our target is in the back.
So pulling that forward onto the fringe and then working. So you can see how it starts to curve around. So I can continue to work that way, or I could get a little smarter with it here and just let the scissor do it this way. So I'm slide cutting or slicing all the way through. Can you see that now?
A proper flick.
Yeah. Now again, this is entirely up to you. What you do, I could continue this flat all the way through, and that would bring this up quite a lot. So I think the idea is to give you all these options. So again, I'm just pulling that forward and joining that onto the fringe.
And then this kind of sectioning makes it so customizable for each individual that is getting the haircut.
So again, let's show you that. So again, I'm going to land kind of collarbone area. So my guide's there, I just follow it visually. So that's going to achieve much softer kind of a feeling to it. So if I'm choosing to go with texture more predominantly than I am smoothing it, that's probably how I'm going to go with it. Now, if I'm going to smooth this through, then I'm going to be a bit more precise with this. Well, I'm going to bring this length up now a little bit into this area. So I'm actually cutting much flatter. So option 2. Soft first option, stronger second option. So we can see I'm going to have to refine and work through. So now I'll do the same on the other side.
People are very concerned about how you're going to match this up on the other side.
Well, think about what I just did. I worked flat all the way through. So I'm going to do the same exact thing on this side. So there's no angle that I'm coming out like I did on the first option. Now I'm just cutting, it's like I'm cutting a flat wall. So let me go sideways here again so you can see it. My fingers do this. Here's that fringe. I pull that flat to me. And I follow the curvature of the head with my fingers. And I keep this flat, like I'm up against the wall. That's how I'm going to get the same on the other side. Just like you do when you pull the hair straight back in the back. That's how you get it even on both sides behind the ear, right? Well, now we're working in front of the ear. It's the same thing. This is like the crown of the back. So all I'm doing is pulling it this way. That's how I work face frame. Or I'll work to a longer length. So let's do that on this. Again, it's all about gaining control.
It's so important then that first piece that you cut, how important that first initial guide and that fringe is to the entire haircut.
Yeah. So a little bit of moisture. I want to stay consistent. Now, you're not confident with landing to places, put the length in you want. Nothing says you can't do that, right? So to me, it's all based on your confidence level or where you're at, you know what I mean? I've been doing this and teaching this for 30 years almost, so it's like, it's something I'm going to get in. I'm not worried about that happening. So again, first thing, we're going to go flat.
Right out the gate, yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, and body memory too, right?
Exactly. And I'm pulling it to the same spot.
Yeah.
So now I'll just make sure.
Will this video be saved later? Yes.
Always. We always put the videos up straight away after I've done them, and I'll keep it there. Next class will be on our private page. So now, you. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
So, let's talk about what I've just done. I've taken that triangular panel and I've pulled that into the middle and I've cut flat, right? So then I've worked into my sides by continuing my sections this way. So now into vertical diagonal. So I've got the hairline now. And I've used that fringe, bangs, and what I've done is I've cut flat all the way down. I've done that on both sides. So it's like this. I've brought the hair to this and I've cut this. Just like that. No angles to it. First option, I put an angle in there. I slide cut all the way through. So softness and extreme length. So now I'm going to move into the back. So I wanted to kind of update you guys on some things that are happening with me. I have teamed up with Evo Hair, Evo Pro, and they're an amazing product company. And I'm doing some really cool classes coming up. I'm going to be in New Hampshire on October the 8th. I'm going to be in Hooksett. And I'm going to be teaching a special Knowledge Destroys Fear hands-on class that's a combination of Knowledge Destroys Fear and Evo. It's a full day of hands-on hair cutting with me and styling. How I like to work with products. And obviously all the usual stuff that comes with the Knowledge Destroys Fear class. So just tons of haircuts. So now I'm just going to bring everything forward onto that. So again, I'm going to be in Hooksett, New Hampshire on October the 8th. And then the day after, I'm going to be in Boston. I'm going to be at this really cool art school, art gallery. And we're going to be doing our Knowledge Destroys Fear hands-on class. And that's the same as usual. Full day hands-on, 100% hands-on, working with the product as well. Really looking forward to that. You can find information about those classes at Sullivan Beauty, or you can just find the link on my page, or comment in the comments now and I'll make sure to have a look and I'll send you the info. So all I'm doing now, guys, is just pulling everything forward onto that. That's the guide. So I'm layering it through and using over direction. It's just like me pulling backwards and doing this, pulling flat, and cutting that. But obviously we've got hair back here, we don't actually have it here. So it falls completely different when you don't have all that hair underneath. So that's what's happening. So one of the beautiful things about hair cutting is the simplicity of it. And I always use the terminology and the saying, pull away from what you want to keep. And that's essentially what's happening here. I'm pulling away from the back area. So I'm going to leave that heavier and longer. So again, my fingers are flat this way, but they follow the curvature of the head as I move down. And I'm just pulling everything up to this. It's like there's a wall right here. And I'm pulling it to that and cutting that. Last week I used the analogy of it's like I'm cutting the entrance to a tunnel. And I'm just pulling the hair along the insides of that tunnel. So all the way through.
People are asking us to go to Boise, Vancouver, Canada, all over the place. We do travel.
Yes, we travel all over the place. If you're looking to bring us into your salon, please contact us. I'm sure that I will be in plenty of different areas next year. So we can see now as this falls, see how it's doing that and then it does that. That's because that's what the hairline does. So it's always going to follow and copy the hairline, unless you come in and put something completely different in there, which afterwards, that's what's going to happen with this. So I'm just continuing to bring these sections forward onto that front area. So starting up here and working down. So last week I showed you this very same technique, but we were working on much longer hair, right? So none of this really came into play so much.
Which face shape do you do this cut?
Which face shape do I do this cut? It's a round haircut, so it's going to open up the face. So really I want to put this more on kind of that nice oval face shape. If I put this on a round face, it's just going to make that face even rounder, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's quite an extreme shape, so you know, we're not looking for kind of normality here. You know, I'm looking for something a little bit on the edgier side. I could put it on a square face shape too, but then we're really going to show that square jawline off, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, you know, you're kind of looking for someone that's got more of that kind of balanced face shape on the oval side, not balanced on the square or round.
Well, and it's really kind of the consultation and talking to your client about how short do you want the fringe to go? How much, you know, do you want to expose your face, right?
Totally.
Like this is like all cheekbone, right? And jawline.
It's so much cheekbone and jawline. Look at it. That's what you're exposing.
Yeah, that profile.
So you've got to think about what's going on here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I hate to expose that, but really that's what it is. You're going to expose chins.
Exactly.
So point the other way. If you don't want to expose those chins, put the weight in there. Don't take this window and open it. Close that window. Maybe open this one up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So these haircuts aren't for everybody. They're not suitable to everybody. That's the thing, is understanding that, because you are really exposing someone's face. Yeah. We're illusionists. And sometimes really bad ones if we put the wrong shape on the wrong person's face. You know what I mean? So
delusionist.
Yeah. So now same thing. I've got that front panel in there. Remember I was talking about that being like the nape of the front. So really, it's like us doing a graduated bob. We've put that in there, right? And if you think about round concave layers, they literally are a graduated bob, but up here, going the other way. So same thing, just working those vertical diagonal back sections, and we're going to be bringing everything forward onto that first, trying to remain clean here as we get towards the finish line. So again, I already have everything set up, make sure that I'm stood right in front of the model, the client, the mannequin, and now we'll do the same process. A little bit of weight in there, I can see. So again, I'm going to be in Hooksett, New Hampshire on October the 8th, and then Boston on October the 9th. And then the weekend after, I'm going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, and going to be doing a pretty cool event there. We're going to be doing a presentation one evening with models, which I'm really excited about. And then the following day, on the 16th, we'll be doing a special Knowledge Destroys Fear class, hands-on. And that's on Sunday and Monday, the 15th and 16th of October. And that is being organized by HC Beauty. Again, you can find the links to these classes on my posts. You can find more information. If you leave me a message, I'll respond later and tell you more about it.
Yeah, Arlene, if you're looking for info on the New Hampshire class, yeah, just follow those. Check on the
just
page.
check on Sullivan Beauty. Sullivan Beauty.
Let me see if I can tag them.
Yeah, at Sullivan Beauty. Just mentioned that. Those classes are awesome. They're going to be about 20 people in each class. Full hands-on. So yeah, for those of you on the East Coast that have been asking for me to come over there, this is your chance to take a class with me this year. Brought forward. And again, I'm following the curvature of the head shape with my fingers and remaining this as flat as possible. Right, I'm not using a mirror, so forgive me if it's got a little bit of an angle there.
And you'd be you're standing, going back to the same position.
Yeah,
You just flipped the head so that we get a better view.
Yeah, just so you can see what's happening with the hair. But everything is going forward onto the face, isn't it? So it's the opposite to triangular layering. But getting in this really nice halo kind of Ramones layered shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'm just wrapping the hair around forward onto this line through here.
This is such a versatile cut too. Like you could go longer in the fringe and still do this same technique to give such a beautiful layered.
Exactly, that's the thing. It's a very versatile technique based on the length. Mm-hmm. So I could have done this much longer hair. It's not going to be as severe as this variation of it.
Do you do training inside salons, man? Yes, we do.
We definitely do that. I spend most of my time traveling and teaching in people's salons and schools. I'm a career educator. I've been doing this since the beginning of my career. Nice, right?
Yeah.
So the thing now is to come through and dry this and then refine these things. You know, you're always going to have this, guys, unless you put your outline in to begin with. You know what I mean? And the only reason this is happening is because that's what the hairline does. So from there it drops, then it drops again behind the ear. So that's what we're seeing, all right? But we could also kind of keep that if we wanted to and bring it into more of that kind of, what's the name of that haircut? The
Hemi?
Haim haircut.
The Hemi?
But we'll blow dry it first and then we'll see. So for drying it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually make sure that it's consistently damp and not dry in certain areas before I put the product on. So again, it's already got Dave Grace in there. Now I'm going to go with Easy Tiger. So Easy Tiger is a smoothing balm. I just want a little bit. Always put more in, so. Smells great.
Booking information to have a class at your salon you can find
If you just leave us me a message, a direct message, or a comment below, we can get that information to you. I can have somebody contact you. But we're going to start booking for 2024 in October. So I've put the product in. Just looking at the balance in its kind of raw state. I know that there's probably going to be something here to take off, but that I can do all in my refinement now. I mean, this is how you get that V. If you're ever wondering how to get the V, that's how you do it. You pull away from the back. So yeah, let's do this. So I think the dominating technique here is to keep the hair flat. So I'm going to be flat wrapping the hair and, you know, leafing and beveling a little bit. So I'm opting to use the paddle brush. And yeah, let's get sorted. So just getting the airflow. I don't really need the nozzle yet. I'll put the nozzle away and all I'm going to be doing is working like this, just stretching that hair across. Try not to go this way too much. If I do that, then I'm going to get a lot of lift there. So I want to keep it flat and wrapped around the head and more forward, if you know what I'm saying. So just letting the airflow and the brush do the work. I don't need to follow it yet or anything like that. Just keep the airflow there and it's sending the hair in that direction. So it's actually doing it for me. So I'm using the airflow to direct the hair where I want it to go. And then the brush does its job then. Obviously this is a mannequin. I'm a little bit more heavy-handed. I wrap until I feel I need to come through and start to work more mid-lengths and ends. Again, just directing the hair with the airflow and the brush. Just kind of follows that angle. So wrapping it. Again, try not to go across the top like it's a comb over, right? So by taking the nozzle off, that kind of allows the airflow to be a bit more kind of broader, not just so concentrated to one spot. So it really helps me to get the roots and dry towards the mid-lengths. And then I can come through and kind of refine a little bit more afterwards. So try not to lift the root up, mainly moving sideways. And it's just a matter of like time then, just allowing the moisture to be removed from the hair.
But everything you're doing is so intentional.
Exactly.
Same as the hair cutting. I think we forget, like after the haircut, sometimes we can get a little lazy with the intention of what we're doing with all of the tools.
For sure. The blow drying can become more of a styling.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not careful. I'm really trying to work with the haircut here and encourage that bevel. Well, once I've done that, I can leave the ends a little bit and I can now move to this side. Switching hands. Let's turn over. And now we can start to move the other way. Again, let the airflow help you. So without the brush, I'm sending the hair that way. So flat wrapping, keeping it smooth now. And it's all about patience. Once you start trying to rush it, that's when things go wrong. So I'm just letting it do its thing. So it's not like I can say this is going to take 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It just depends on the individual's hair.
It's very Ramon.
So now I can start to come into the back. The hair in the back is longer. So I'm just going to take sections now, and now I've got the nozzle keeping it flat. If we're dealing with a lot more texture, then I'm going to leaf the hair. I'm going to roll in and then roll back out. That gives me a lot more tension, a lot more pull on the hair. With the nozzle I get a little bit closer, really close that cuticle as much as I can. So now I can come in and just kind of work these ends a bit more. So that just helps me to smooth through a little bit more, mid-length to ends. Just taking the hair and beveling it on the edges. Kind of like follow the curvature of the head shape when you're doing that, you know what I mean? That's the kind of bevel I'm looking for when I'm moving down towards the end. So just grabbing that hair, it pulls a little bit, not so much tension that way. If I want more tension, I'm going to rock in and then I'm going to rock out. That's known as leaping. So it gets a lot smoother, it pulls on the hair a lot more. Using the paddle just to keep it nice and flat. So again, just leaping through. Roots to ends. Again, if I want a little bit more tension, then I'm going to rock in and then rock back out. So working the same process, just stay patient with everything, stay consistent. So again, I start with the roots by wrapping the hair, flat wrapping it, stretching that hair, pulling on that hair, and then I start to work the mid-lengths to the end a little bit more, just working with the paddle and flattening, smoothing at the same time. So I still want that element of it having, it will be allowed to move. I don't want to style the hair right now where it's made up, you know what I mean? You want this hair when it's finished to be moving around and fall back into place. So this top area, this crown, I'm just kind of flat wrapping through before I come through and bevel a little bit more, so I can kind of put the hair where it needs to be. So just coming through the last bit with the blow dryer before I move on. Just trying to work more of the ends now. So I'm really just getting as much as I can get done with the blow dryer before I even think about coming in with the iron. So I've stretched the hair, I've pulled on it as much as I can now. Now it's time to flatten it a little bit more. With the iron. How's it look?
It looks like she's going like this.
Proper round, isn't it?
Uh-huh. You gotta show the iron because someone was asking about the irons, the Dyson irons.
Oh, the iron.
Mm-hmm.
On this page section.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Now, I'm going for the full effect here, guys. I'm going to show you what I do to get the hair prepped and stuff before I start to refine. Like if this was like 1975, then we'd leave it as is, wouldn't we? You know what I mean? But it's not. So I want to flatten it a little bit more. So I'm going to come through and start to iron. I'm going to start down here actually. And we're going to use a little bit of what's known as icon welder, just to help with each section. Really good heat protection. Notice how I'm using the comb, and I'm not just one and done. I'm working that hair flatter and smoother. It takes a little bit of work. You don't just put the iron on and go over it. You have to go over it and over it until you've fully flattened and smoothed that cuticle. Remember, the name of this tool is the flat iron. So you're flattening that hair even more. Let's give it a little spray. So again, we're using
Thank you.
icon welder. Just a little spray on each section.
How hot does your iron get? Oh,
Oh, it's
410.
410 it's telling me. For those of you that need the numbers. It's kind of like working with degrees of elevation, isn't it? You know what I mean? You just need it hot. Real hot. In this case, because I want to flatten it. I guess not too crazy hot though, you know. So keep going in that manner. So you can see I'm working with diagonal sectioning, and I'm just working this kind of side panel first. I'm going to spray that for me. Thank you. Teamwork. Everyone's here now. We're actually going to be filming right after this. We're going to be cutting a model, and I'll have that edited and all together in the next few days. So more mid-length to ends. I don't really want to go too close to the roots. That's how I'm going to start to change the direction of the hair when it falls. So really just trying to stay in the area that I need to be in as well with this. So a little spray on each section, and it really does the trick. The iron and the comb do the rest of the work for you. It just gives the hair some memory too, to stay smooth. Which is always good. So I just keep doing the same thing over and over until I feel and I can see that hair starting to react. It's leaving that kind of, I want to be wavy stage. It's like ironing a shirt, you know?
can be very satisfying.
Yeah, to me it is. It's super satisfying, this part of it. It's not something that we do a lot either, is it, anymore?
Mm-mm.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I'm having the 90s and 2000s flashbacks. When pretty much everything we did was smoothed out, you know? Especially where I come from. In my world of hair, a lot of flat ironing being done. I really haven't started to play with the round brush in my career too much until the last couple of years, really. Again, you just have to be patient with it. Work it until you know it's right. I'm working with hair that I know. I know how it will react to the iron. So I'm able to work with a hotter degree. Diagonally through the front area. Again, don't go too close to that root. Go for it. Yeah. So the thing is, when you've got a iron that's not plugged in, it's working off battery, you just have to get this done.
Get this going.
Yeah. So it kind of keeps you on your toes. Which, if I am given the time, I will use every second of it. So I would be, much slower than this if I didn't have. Bless
Thank
you,
you.
Katie.
It's that spray.
good idea.
Yeah.
So keep going. Again, it's all about patience, guys.
Yep. Did I get it? There it is.
We can do this back and then we're almost there, guys. Nice and quick. It's like a Formula One pit stop.
Yeah.
So the key is not to try and start rushing it. Because you don't want it to be different to the other side. You want it to be just as carefully thought out and done and prepared. So, remember, try not to rush, even though it's probably the most boring part of the haircut or the tutorial in that manner. But you just have to stay really consistent. I suppose this is the area where you can really start talking to the client.
Jacob Khan just got us a badge.
Oh, that's really nice of you, Jacob. What's that for? Cheers, pal.
I don't even know what that is. I just said.
Is he still there? I liked your outfits from the other night. Yeah. So last bit in that crown. Again, I just worked through consistently. The key is just to remain focused. When you're doing something that's precision, you really need the fabric to be consistently prepared and set up for the right thing. if I don't do a good job with that, then the hair's not going to be where I need it to be for the refinement stage of the haircut. So it just makes life much easier when I come into that kind of final part of the haircut.
Oh, 2 more people bought badges.
That's very nice of you. You guys don't have to buy badges, but that's really sweet of you. So, next week, are we doing one next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What month is it?
Yeah. We're still in September, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so next week we'll be doing another live, but we'll be streaming live from Knowledge Destroys Fear. That's our paid members only page. That's where all of my video education is stored. Right, so now we've got to do the finishing part, the fun part of it. So let's just bring her up a bit to where I can refine without breaking my back.
I love when the nose just pokes through just that little bit.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
It's really awkward kind of length, you know, so. So now, when you see it all straightened and smoothed, you can see how the edges are layered because it's much softer, not as strong. But I need to come and refine this through. So that's what we're going to do to begin with. So really, I'm going to start working in these sides. So I can see this is okay, but right in here I've got this thing that just juts out. That's the hairline. So your hairline's coming in and it drops to the sideburn and then comes up and around the ear. That's what that is. That's the up and around the ear. So we're going to eliminate that first. So I'm going to work from that and I'm going to meet that. Calm it down. Do it again. All right, let me come over here. So we're going to keep that. So we'll just keep working over this line until I'm happy with it. You notice I switched scissor?
No.
I'm working with the Mizutani scissor now. Much sharper, much more pointier. Really good for refining. Nice precision haircuts. The little black pair of scissors I was using are Joel's.
Shop.
It's all right. We're getting there, aren't we? So again, it's just refinement over and over again on this line now. So what I'll do is I'll just get one side in for you guys, and then I'll do the other, and you can see what's happening with that and where that's going. And then all I'm going to do is kind of come through this top part. Just around that kind of crown area, so apex to occipital. I'll lift that up. That's going to get point cut. Just very lightly on the edges. This area is too dense, so I'm not going in there yet. I'll move into that now. So you can see now those interior layers start to just become more seamless on the shape. And then you just kind of finish it with some form of spray. And then we've got this very clean Ramones-esque shape.